Welcome to That's What She Said, the podcast where Gen X plus women share their insights, stories, and hard-earned wisdom that can help Gen Z and older women navigate life, work, and everything in between. We talk about the stuff no one tells you so you can own your choices and create a life on your own terms. So let's dive in. There's a moment that a lot of women experience, but not many people talk about openly. And it's the moment when you realize the world is starting to see you differently, or sometimes not see you at all. Maybe it's age, maybe it's a health shift, maybe it's stepping away from your career to take care of someone you love. But suddenly, the identity you built for yourself starts to feel like it's slipping, and you're left wondering and trying to figure out, who am I now? One of my social media crushes and my guest today, Bermudez, did I get it right?
You got it right. Yeah.
All right, Lizzie Bermudez knows that feeling well. As an Emmy Award-winning broadcaster and host, she built a career in an industry that often prioritizes youth and visibility. But behind the scenes, she was navigating postpartum struggles, a cancer scare, a hysterectomy that brought on menopause, and making the decision to step back from parts of her career to support her daughter through mental health challenges, much like I did. Lizzie got the chance to ask herself an important question. Am I becoming invisible? Or is this actually my chance to become more myself than ever before? At a time when many women are told to quiet down, slow down, or act their age, Lizzie chose something different. She is now building a new platform, bringing together women 50 years and older, encouraging them to have fun, speaking openly, and living lives that actually feel joyful. So if you've ever found yourself in that moment questioning what's next while still knowing you're not done yet, then this episode is for you. Lizzie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my God, literally you're making me cry right out of that introduction. I was like, sometimes you're just like, I literally just got back from 4 different states visiting colleges with my younger daughter and got in last night. And it's just been like I told you, like, my hair's on fire. But you get going in life and you forget often to just stop and give yourself some grace,
Yeah.
right? And just be like, damn. I'm such a fucking badass.
Because I am juggling all the balls.
I did that. I did that. And when you mention everything, it just like, yeah, it hurts my heart because it's just like, whoo, those were some tough years. Those were some dark days. That was some rough stuff. And I feel like, I'm still have one foot in it kind of, but just feel I see the light and I feel re-energized and God, my heart just it hurts because I know there's so many women that are just so in it right now where they're just feeling so overwhelmed and feeling hopeless, right? Because there's just so much heaviness that's kind of consumed their life and they feel so bad about themselves and who they are and where
What do
they
you
are.
think creates that in women? I mean, there was a lot going on for you, but what are some of the
Yeah.
variables you see when you're talking to women who are older that is impacting them?
I mean, it sounds like a broken record, but just your surroundings, society, media, everything that you suddenly encounter, the way you're perceived, the way people look at you, the way they talk to you, it just kind of creeps up,
Mm.
you know, and people start dismissing you or not looking at you or saying ma'am, and you're just like, did they just say ma'am? What just happened? Um, and people just, yeah, you just it's in the eyes. People don't look at you. People just don't connect with you the same way. Um, People don't reach out to you anymore. It feels like this slow decline, really. And you wake up and all of a sudden you're like, wait, where did everybody go? Why does it feel like I'm not here?
Do you remember when you were younger, was
Mhm.
this something that you were prepared for that you knew would be coming?
Oh, when I was younger, I mean, it's so funny. I laugh. I mean, when I was older, I was like, ew, getting old. Old people, yuck. Just like all these things that I hear my younger daughter say sometimes. Just had these. horrible images of what getting older was or is. But I also think too, what my mother showed me or taught me or impressed upon me is so different than what I try to share with my daughters today.
Can you give me an example?
For, it was my parents were very blue collar, working class. You work the same job
Mm.
and then you retire and then you reap what you've sown and you just kind of kick back and you're in cruise control. It was just like boop, 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 boop. There was no, go back to school or start another job or go get fit or go. There was none of this. It almost felt like, okay, 50, 55, you hit the ceiling, you're done. That's all I knew growing up.
Mm.
That's all I knew. And so I know sometimes I think my mom thinks I'm just a little batshit crazy and like, who does she think she is? You know, does she still think she's 20 years old or 30 years old? But I try to tell my daughters that are 18 and 21, like the best years are yet to come. And it really is a mindset shift. You really have to reframe your thinking because there was a time not long ago that I really did, that I was depressed and medicated and thinking like, like, been there. I did it. I did it all.
Right.
Like there's not there really, what else is there? I've achieved my career goals. I've kind of maxed out. Society is telling me, the job market's telling me that there's nothing left for me. Working in broadcast journalism, it's very superficial. And what can I do? That was my mindset, a very dated mindset. And now it's completely shifted.
So you mentioned your daughters and my daughters are 21 and 23, so real similar to
Yeah.
where yours are. And you talked about how our moms raised us.
Mhm.
And while my mom was super strong, really positive, there was a consistent message of, oh, getting older sucks.
Yeah.
And you dress a certain way that's appropriate for your age. And for me, much like you, it's changing that mentality not only by telling my daughters, but also by being visible to my daughters and to anybody who might be watching that. No, gonna wear what I want to wear, gonna be who I am and be comfortable with that. Because yes, I want that for myself, but I do want them to have that perspective as early as possible that it
Right.
does get better, that you're more secure with yourself, that you know yourself better. And yes, also the security of finances, hopefully if you've planned right and that sort of thing. How do your daughters respond when you try and either verbally or non-verbally share this with them?
I think I've really gotten into a pattern of trying to um, show and demonstrate my daughters, how to move through this world and try to ignore my bad habits and just look at the good ones and really see aging and menopause. That was another thing was and talking about menopause in front of them.
Yes.
Just being very vocal and being a beginner and starting new things and failing miserably and then getting back up and sulking and having a pity party and then being like, okay, what's the next thing? I mean, my daughters have seen me do a trillion different things. Like what you see on social media now is like so many different iterations. I was just having drinks with a friend while I was across the country and he's a broadcast journalist,
Mm.
and that's pretty much the only work he's known. And I was like, there's these things called a phone. I go that allow and social media that allow us to just play and experiment and try all the things. And if we fail, we fail. If we screw up, we screw up. It's like, who cares? Like, really, who the fuck cares? But I think we get in our own way and we get in our heads sometimes. And my big thing with my girls too is like, I'm never going to stop having fun. Like that's part of I call it my personal brand, but just like who I am in
Mhm.
my DNA is laughter and fun because I've had so many dark days. And I swear that like laughter and joy and fun were the things that really got me through those.
I have
And
to tell
so,
you, one of my favorite, I'm sorry to cut you off, but one you brought up to mind one of my favorite posts of yours. And I believe you were in New York City, maybe with your sister, and you two were just dancing like wonderful
Yeah,
fools in the
yeah,
snowstorm. And I
yeah,
remember you saying that you got your first troll
yeah,
response where
yeah.
people were telling you to act your age. And I'm like, but she is. She
Right.
is acting her age.
And I warn my girls all the time. I said, there's this woman that you girls never knew.
Yeah.
And motherhood and life, really weighs on you and shapes you and shifts you and changes you. Um, but at the core, as you start moving some of those things away, I'm still that carefree, fun, adventurous, spontaneous, go ahead, double dog dare me kind of person at heart. And I said, I want to be that way till the day I die. And so I really try to share that with my girls and impress upon them to really like honor and own who they are. I have two different, very different daughters. And my oldest is really mature and wise and cerebral and serious and doesn't party and like to go drinking and embarrass herself or be loud. And so she gets embarrassed that my fun or my younger daughter's fun is the complete opposite of that.
Mm.
If there's a microphone, if there's a stage, if there's a way to be loud and crazy, we're going to go that route. And I told her, I said, the sooner you can embrace who you are and all your quirkiness and what feels different to you, the better off you'll be.
Agreed.
And so, forgive me for saying this, but I'm like, I want you to have like big dick energy no matter who you are
100%.
and what you are. And if it's weird, if it's nerdy, if it's like, own it. Own it. And the sooner you can own it, the better off I think my girls will be. And so I try to tell that, impress that upon younger women to really like honor who they are. We're not supposed to be, my daughters aren't supposed to be replicas of me.
Right.
They're to be their own individuals.
I love that you're saying this because one of the things that you and I share apparently is that idea of just owning who you are. And years ago, I did a TED talk and people were either really supportive or really appalled because the title of it was Why I Gave My Teenage Daughter a Vibrator. And they were the ones that were appalled said, we can't believe, were your daughters okay with you getting on stage and talking about this? I said, well, first of all, my first step was asking if it was okay I talked about it, getting their permission.
Right.
And because of how I've raised them, they were like, hell yeah, mom, do that. And then they were in the audience on the day of the talk. And they're so confident in that their sexual wellness being part of who they
Yeah.
are. And I love that. I love that this is not something that they shy away from or they're embarrassed by. They're just like, this is just part of taking care of ourselves. And, when you see your daughters truly stepping into who they are, and I see my daughters, to me, that's one of those, okay, I was not a perfect mom by any stretch, that no one is,
Right.
but when they can own who they are, that's success to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
When you decided to in the more recent years, step back into visibility,
Mhm.
being so, I think, dominant on social media, was there a hesitation because now you're older than when you were as a broadcaster? Was there anything that was scary about that to you?
1,000,000%.
Really?
I'm going to pull up one of my dear friends just sent me this beautiful, um, it's been making its rounds on Instagram. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so accurate. And you may have seen the quote. Kelly France posted it. I think midlife is just being who you were at 16, but loving her this time.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah. Um, I was very, because I was a broadcast journalist and a TV host, and I guess very performative, the work that I did. It was
Yeah.
all smoke and mirrors. There was a teleprompter. I never got to really share my opinion, have an opinion, be emotional. And 20 plus years in in that line of in television. I see a camera, I see a mic, and I go to autopilot.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just a natural reflex that I've developed over the years. And with social media showing up on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, it really is all about being you. And so for me, it really was this. I try to use it as this journey of like, okay, who am I? I've been this persona for so long. I know who I am. And like, let's get back to who she is. And let's be okay with sharing her again with whoever watches a reel or TikTok or short. And that took a lot. That took a lot. That meant like, okay, I said I'm going to show up, but now it's like really, I'm weird. I'm quirky. I'm odd. Like nobody wants to see that. Like I've got, makeup and hairspray on today, but most of the time I'm like in sweats and I'm like, do I have my bra on? And I'm like, last time I washed I'm just easy. I got a baseball cap on 98% of the time. I just like to be, comfy and cozy. I love to dress up and do hair and makeup because I did hair and makeup my whole
Yeah,
career.
you did.
But it's not a daily thing. Like I admire women who get dressed up to the nines every single day. I'm like, damn, girl, that took a lot of effort. I don't have that in me. But
Mm.
showing up took a lot because it really required me to be vulnerable. And the way I thought about it was I spent my entire broadcast career putting a microphone in front of people's faces, asking them the most vulnerable questions, whether, a fire had taken their home, somebody had been murdered. I was doing breaking news. I was doing all these really gut-wrenching types of stories, kidnappings, just tragedy after tragedy. And I would get these people to talk about the most heart-aching, vulnerable things. And I said, if I can ask that of people, there's no reason why I can't just show up as me, after all that I've
Yeah.
asked of people. And so it took a good solid year. I mean, you see what you see today, but I've been playing around on social media for a long, long time. And my girlfriends in journalism laugh. They're like, I remember when you wouldn't even show up without makeup. Like that was huge. I'd be like, oh my God, this is my armor. How can I not show up with makeup?
And now
I
you're
mean,
talking about ear wrinkles.
yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, did I brush my teeth? What's in my eye? My bed head, rolling out of bed, talking. Yeah, so it really is, it has been this really beautiful, long, bumpy journey for sure to get to where I am, and being able to share myself on social media.
What would you tell maybe younger women like your daughters or women our age who are saying, no way, there's no way I could be that authentic? Is there any wisdom you would give them about how to step into that, how to take that first step?
I mean, I would say only if you want to, only if you want to. Nobody's forcing your hand and saying, you have to
Mm.
show up with all of you. And I don't share everything. You don't see my husband rarely makes an appearance, and I don't talk about certain people. So I definitely do have my boundaries. But I say do it only if you want to. Nobody's, making you do that. And some people will never feel comfortable just being 100% who they are because you're opening yourself up to the critics, to
Mm.
the trolls, and people aren't nice. And you really just have to be like, I know I'm not, I tell this to my girls all the time. I'm not for everybody. I've never been for everybody. I am loud. I laugh loud. I laugh weird. I'm just a loud person. And adults roll their eyes when they see me in a restaurant or walking. I'm like, that's who I am. That's what you get with me. I'm not going to try to change that. But it does open you up to a lot of critics.
Mm.
And it does require you. People can see through the screen when you're being true to who you are and when you're not. Which is so funny when I see these people, that show up on social media and they're just a persona,
Mm.
you know?
How did you balance though? So you said you're not everyone's cup of tea and you're
Right.
loud and you're out there. How did you balance that in your professional life between being authentically you and yet also fitting in with the requirements of your role or your job? Was there ever times where there was a dissonance between the two?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe that's why I'm having so much fun with social media now because I was in a box
Yeah.
for so long. And I tell my daughters, broadcast journalism and television was such a different beast than it is today. Completely different. I had personal performance contracts, code of ethics contracts.
Mm,
There were things I just could not do. I would lose my job.
right.
I couldn't say. And so it did require me not to have or speak out and have an opinion about a lot of things, or show up looking a certain way. And
Mm,
so that felt very much, but for me, in my mind, it was like, that's the price I'm going to pay to have this job, this career, this paycheck,
mm,
everything that comes, the perks that come with that. I'm okay with that until I saw the light, and I was like pushed out. And then I was like, oh my God, like I get to have an opinion again and I get to show up how I want to and I can say what I want and I can be controversial. I can piss people off. I can swear. I can show up any way I want. And that's been incredibly freeing.
So when the industry pushed you out, would you say that there was a reclaiming of your identity?
Yeah, there was a deep depression and mourning
Okay.
for sure because I loved the work that I did. I love not doing the same thing every single day. I did not sit at a desk. I joke I don't have admin skills. I don't know how to read or do a spreadsheet. I like none of that. But I know how to, run out with a photographer and a camera and get interviews and get people to talk and tell their story and weave their story and create this, 2 minute to 6 minute piece of work or a half hour special, whatever it is. Like that I feel really good about. And here we go right now. Brain fog literally just kicked in. And as I'm talking, I'm like, what was the question?
It doesn't matter. I love listening to
100% real moment. I'm like, oh my God, I'm telling that story because I forgot in
it.
real time.
You're all good. I find myself just like words, just really easy words. I'm like, why can't I? And I'm starting to describe things to either my kids or my husband. I'm like,
What
you
was your
know that
question now? What
thing
were
that you
you
put
saying?
the bread in and it makes it hot? They're like the microwave. I'm like, no. Yeah, toaster. That was my word today.
What was I talking? What was the question, Robin? Oh my God.
I was just asking you about whether there was a point in time where it was a reclaim of your identity. You said
Yeah.
that first you had to go through that depression and that grieving
Yes,
process because you loved what
totally.
you did. But then it
Totally.
seems like on the other side, you stepped into really
Yeah.
who you are authentically.
Yeah. Totally. And I remember, I mean, there have been periods where I've done some traveling alone. I love going to New York City, and I spent some time a couple summers ago there by myself. And I just remember it's just hot and humid in the summer in New York, and there's so many people and so many smells. But there's something about being in that concrete jungle,
Yeah.
and you're amongst all those people, but you're still have your anonymity if you want it. And just walking and just like you can just walk forever and see something new with fresh eyes. And I remember just walking and I had tears coming down my eyes and I'm like, oh my God, like there she is. Yeah,
Mm.
I remember this. I remember this girl, yes. I love this. And literally it was this like, boom, like the lights went off. And I was like, yeah, here she is. Okay. here like she's still there. She's been carrying a lot. And so we're just kind of removing the rubble a little at a time, a little at a time. And she's going to emerge pieces of her who she was, but like a newer, stronger version of herself.
Now that you've gone through all that
Uh-huh.
and you're on the other side, what would you say were some of the takeaways you had about how society values women after having gone through that?
In values women, and I'm sorry, I don't think I
No, it's
understand.
okay. In terms of, so you were in this industry that
Hmm.
your career was flourishing,
Hmm.
and then you started to notice that you were getting less work or you were less time in front of the camera, and all of a sudden things started to slow down for you. Did you ever
I
translate
learned,
that?
I don't even know if it was just people in general.
Mm,
Um, like I have a different sense of perception now when I'm meeting people. People were around me or would come into my life because I think they felt that I had something to give them or offer them.
mm,
And it was, like an exchange of goods. So it was an exchange of airtime, or you're going to tell my story, or you're going to help promote me, right? It was very transactional. I thought it was more than that. I
oh,
thought it was, there was also some friendship and some authenticity involved. And so when I stepped away from that work, I also stepped away from a lot of people.
oh,
And the people that I was exposed to really stopped coming around or interacting with me. And so I realized like how people come into your life or treat you is based oftentimes on what you do and who you know
mm,
and what you can offer them. And so it allowed me to like check myself. And so it forced me to move through life and be like, okay, there's a guy that I'm in a walking neighborhood in San Francisco, and he collects the trash. And oftentimes he has, earphones on and his music playing. And he's head down. He's like working, working. And I was like, God, I don't think I've ever said hi. I don't think I've ever introduced myself. I don't think I've ever thanked him for cleaning up my community. And so I started seeing people differently because I knew they were seeing me differently. And so it really forced me to strip away things like talk to the person that I'm next to in the elevator, at the grocery store, when I'm waiting for my coffee. I mean, people just wait for these, I'm going to this networking event, or,
mm,
hey, can you put me in contact with so and so? I saw on LinkedIn that you know so. Like, I want my interactions to be based more on like who I am and who I show up as an individual. Like, oh my God, there's a lady with the great shoes, or oh my God, she's got a beautiful smile. Oh my God, I loved her hair. Like, really just like I try to go through my day like complimenting people. Even when I'm at the airport yesterday and people are horrible and they're pushing and they're shoving and they're impatient and the, flight attendant is angry and the flight's still like I'm still trying to be like, "Oh my God, you've got a beautiful smile," or "Oh my gosh, it's thank you so much," and thanking people. It's really required me to see people differently and interact with them I think on a more deeper, more
mm,
authentic level because I feel like people saw me as this TV persona and treated me as a TV person and what I could help them get,
mm,
and that was just like when that was gone, I was like, God, what a shitty feeling. Like I don't have anything to offer these people anymore. And then I think that's when I really found my real people and my real friends, because I was like, I got nothing. I'm down, like I'm down here. I got nothing to give. I'm in the dumps, and you still are showing up around me and want to be a part of my life. So it was a huge lesson. Yeah, society treats you different, but I was moving through life different too. I
mm.
thought, it's been a huge, so many lessons.
you're talking about this deeper connection with people. Is that some of the reason that you started creating these walking groups that you
Yeah.
talk? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So at what, 56, 57, I'm now 57. I have all the, as a create, I'm a creative, so I always have like a million ideas and like, I want to do this and then I want to do that. My brain's just like, blah. And one of the things, I keep thinking as I've emerged through this stage of life is when you're going through it, when you're in it, when you're just like in the depths, in the muck, and it feels hopeless, like you just like, you feel like you're the only one going through it.
Mm,
There's a lot of shame or embarrassment, and you're like, you don't want to be around people. And I know that's how I felt. And people don't know how to be around you. We touched a little bit on when you're a parent of somebody with mental health challenges. That's a big unknown for a lot of people. A lot of people don't know even how to broach the subject. And I just remember, I had a couple girlfriends that would just keep showing up in my life when I needed them to. And they'd be like, let's go for a walk. And I was like, I don't want, like, you're going to require me to like leave my house and put on sneakers and they're like, yeah, and if you want to talk, you don't. I'll talk at you. We can talk whatever. But there was just this real beauty of getting outdoors and moving our body. And I've done a lot of therapy. And like when you move your body, you move your mind. When you move your mind, you move your brain waves, and like it all just like it starts moving. And I always felt better when I was out moving, and I just physically, emotionally, and start talking, and things would just kind of come out and be this beautiful release. And could go like, I can do this again. I can get through my week. And so I've just have been, it's been with me that we make these connections online, and I've made these beautiful, probably some of the best friendships and connections on social media um, ever that have started on Instagram or TikTok. Uh, But in real life, like there's something that doesn't beat that, when you're like face to face and you can hold somebody's hand and you can hug somebody and you can look in their eyes a different way than here. And I was like, I miss that. And I'm a talker and a people person. So I love anytime there's a workshop or a conference, like those are the types of things that I love to be around. I feed off of that energy. I also loved
mm.
live television. I think it's just like you, you get that energy, you can feel it. It's coming and going. And so I thought, what can I do? I'm like, God, I wish I could just get women to just show up and go for a walk. Like get out of the house. Walking is so good for us physically and mentally and emotionally. I'm like, and just commune, like no agenda. We're all going through something. And it has been such a beautiful life lesson as I'm bringing these women together for these, I call them a midlife walk and talk. I'm doing them once a month. And to get these women that are bringing their sister or their best friend who kind of just feel like, I've done it all. I'm an empty nester. My kids are gone. My husband's, got his own hobby, or I'm divorced, and they kind of just are in this in-between space of
Mhm.
almost feeling like they don't know what to do, or they don't know where to go. They don't feel like they have anybody that they can relate to.
Right.
And so these women come and nobody knows anyone, and we're all nervous. I was terrified the first one I did. And these women, and that's what I realized in doing them, like they were equally nervous and terrified as well to just show up someplace where they didn't know anyone. But just to see women just sharing, and I just said, I'm like, this is a safe space. This is a open-hearted place. We're all like, by the time you hit your 50s, you've been through shit. You've been through something. You don't get to get this far in life unscathed. And it's whether you want to share it or not,
Mhm.
right? And some people like to go through life just with this persona, and that's okay. Those clearly aren't my people. I like to show up, a bit battered and beat up and with some bruises and share, because my hope is that when we are talking and sharing about what we've been through, like we have a bit of wisdom that we can impart on the next person, and that they can share something with me and with each other. And so something really beautiful is happening. It's just this beautiful organic thing. And that's really what I wanted it to be. Like I'm at this stage where I have a lot of ideas. I'm showing up on social media, and I really want it to be true to who I am
Right.
at this
Yep.
phase of life. And I have my faith and my beliefs that it will really just like, as I keep moving, it's funny, that I keep saying as I take one step forward, and I am literally with these walk and talks, that the path will unfold. Like what I'm supposed to be doing next is going to show up, and the opportunities will present themselves, and I will just keep doing the work, and I will keep doing the work. So it's been really beautiful and really cool. And um, I didn't know if anybody would show up. I didn't know it would be so well received. I mean, the whole thing has just been crazy, really crazy. And people are like, well, do you have a sponsor? Well, what are you going to do about this? And I'm like, I don't
I was
know.
just walking. I don't know.
We're just walking, and they're just getting, bigger, and people are approaching me, and fitness people, and they're like, hey, what about, I'm like, we're walking right now. We're just doing the walks right now. And we'll see what comes after the next walk. But it's been really beautiful to bring midlife women together that I probably wouldn't normally commune with, that might not be in my same
Mhm.
social circles. I mean, the beautiful thing is there are women that are coming from all over the Bay Area, not just San Francisco.
Mhm.
There are women of all types of demographic backgrounds, different races, different types of marriages. It's been really cool just to see this really, hodgepodge of midlife women showing up.
Yeah, and when I watch it on social media and desperately wish I lived closer to participate, it occurs to me that it's getting to the essence of, as a generalization, who I believe women to be, that we are connectors, that we hold on to the wisdom. And your groups, your walking groups, allow women to share their
Yeah.
wisdom, share their stories in a way that we always have for, centuries, but in a way that in today's world we don't always get a chance to do. And
Yeah.
I
I mean,
love
and just doing the walks alone, being a mom with a child who has mental illness isn't something that you can converse with easily, because there's a lot of people that don't get it. But just doing the walks alone, I mentioned, mental health struggles, and like boom, 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 all these, hands went up. They're like, yeah, me too. Like I get, yeah. And I'm like, wow, like we are all
yes.
going through something and silently and suffering. And it's like, that suffering's not fun,
Right.
and if you can go through it with somebody, I think it just makes it a little more palatable.
Agreed. You referenced some of the darker days and the harder
Mhm.
times. What do you wish you knew then that you know now to get you through those days?
What I wish I knew
Hmm.
then, um, to lean on, I get emotional. I think to lean on the people that love and care about you.
Hmm.
It's hard to ask for help. I've always had a very difficult time asking for help, but to lean on those people, because people want to help, they just don't know how. And I think I would have done that more, was really leaned into that. But that requires, there's you to be vulnerable, and to show up as you are, all your flaws, all of the ugliness that may be going on. And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. It's not for the weak, that's for sure. But if somebody is going to show up in your life and say like, hey, I'm going to weather the storm with you, or like, I got it, I can handle this, take them up on the offer. Definitely take them up. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Great takeaway. I love that.
Yeah.
Lizzie, I really appreciate all of this and honestly feel like I could talk to you for another couple hours, especially, and maybe you can come back sometime and we can talk a little bit about that idea of raising, in our case, daughters who
Right.
have some im impactful mental health issues, because I do
Uh-huh.
agree that's not a topic that a lot of people hear enough about.
Right,
And
right.
not just the tips of how to help your daughter, but how to help yourself during all of that, because
100%. Yeah.
so I would love to have you back to really
Yeah.
go into that sometime.
Absolutely.
But as a
Absolutely.
wrap up, I usually ask just a couple of rapid fire questions. Are you open to that?
Okay, hold on. Let me get a drink of water. I was like,
Okay.
I expect to get that emotional.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right. What's your go-to Power Woman song?
What's my go-to power woman song? Gosh. I don't know if I have just one.
That's my problem too.
Would it be I'm Every Woman, Shaka Khan, maybe?
It's a good one. I love that
Maybe.
one.
That's
Okay.
what comes to mind.
It's a
I'm an
good one.
old school R&B gal, so it'd probably be something definitely old school.
That works. What's one life hack or tip that you use?
Dry hairspray.
Yeah.
What did I say in my survey for you? I made
It
a
doesn't matter.
dry.
That's perfect. I have everything from like super philosophical to I apply false eyelashes. So I love that women have practical and idealized. It's all good. What's one of your favorite?
Dry dry hairspray is, oh my God, biggest life hack.
What's one of your favorite books?
Oh my God, one of my favorite. Oh, that one's hard. Uh, what one has? I don't know if I can say one of my favorite books. Um, but I will say, okay, I'll do kind of like one fiction, one nonfiction that I've,
Perfect.
and I don't favorites. I think of like something that's like really just stayed with me that I'll keep revisiting. There was a book I read when I was right after my hysterectomy, when I was just getting thrown headfirst into menopause and lost my job, pandemic. It was just everything was to shits.
Yeah.
It was Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and it was a therapist. Are you familiar with,
Yeah.
is
Super
it
great
Jessica
book.
Gottlieb, I think is her name?
I think you're right.
It's the author, a therapist.
Yeah.
And she writes it like fiction slash nonfiction. And she basically tells a story, I think, of four or five patients. And it is, I was just sobbing by the time
Mhm.
I finished that book. That book just hit so hard. It just talked about five different people, completely different patients, and the roadblocks. Like I said, like we're all going through something, right? And how these roadblocks, whether it was a divorce, whether it was a terminal illness, whether it was a loss of a child or loss of a marriage, or these things, these huge things can just be roadblocks and just keep us stuck. And how the process of, you know, like moving it aside, or like, okay, that's there, like we're going to go to our left and we're going to learn to thrive to our left, and we don't have to go directly over that. The way she wove those stories and shared those stories, oh my God, I tell
Yeah.
all my girlfriends, I'm like, that's a must read. That's a really good book. And then I finally read Nightingale
Oh,
last year.
one.
And that one, just like, again, I was just like, stop making me cry. Oh my God, stop making me cry.
Have you read
I,
anything else by, I think it's Kate Quinn that wrote
I
that.
have not. I
She
have
is
not. I
I
have,
collect all books on my Instagram for the podcast, and she comes up a lot because her books just have such strong heroines or strong female protagonists. And
yeah,
I love that it also has that historical piece to it that
right, right.
mind blowing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Hmm.
yeah. Those are the two that
I like
come
that.
to mind. But I'm reading Strangers right now. I'm
Oh,
almost done with that one.
okay.
That's the memoir. That's kind of all New York Times list right now. And then my daughter gave me, I literally have it. Did you read Martyr?
No.
This She loved this book.
Okay.
My oldest is an avid reader, so she's like, "This is
Perfect.
mine." We have lots. I love that. Was the other thing was reading was something that brings me back to
Mm,
myself, and that's what brings me like peace. My husband likes to have like three devices going in a TV and a computer and an iPhone and sound, and I'm like, I want to sit on my corner of the sofa and read a book.
my husband's the same way. He is always moving and doing something. And my perfect day is like a cup of tea, my dog, and a book, and no one talking to me for the day. Like, let me just sit and immerse myself. And it was something that during motherhood, at least younger stages of motherhood, I didn't do a lot of because I was
Yeah,
exhausted. And you're
yeah,
right. When I started doing it again over the past 10 years, there was a reconnection to being that bookish nerd who just could just lose herself in stories, and I
yeah.
loved it.
And that's what I tell my daughters and my friends. I'm like, we have our notes app in our phone, and I'm like, just start writing
Mhm.
we do pro cons lists, we do to-do lists. Like, write the things that bring me joy list,
Yes,
and then the things that I want to try that I think might bring me joy list, and then
agreed.
the things I like tried that didn't like,
Yep.
and start just like we have this time to do that. We don't have to just like be little robots and move through our day.
Agreed. Lizzie, what's next for you?
Well, I have my next walk and talk in 2 weeks. If you're in the Bay Area, it's
Wish.
April 25th, Saturday. So I've got that. Right now, I'm working on trying to get organized. So it's the admin of it all that
Yeah.
I'm not very strong with. So learning that process. I mean, I'm literally like YouTube. How to get a mailing list, how to send an email. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
No, it's
Uh,
great.
doing that, creating content, going through my data and really looking at some of my analytics and seeing where the growth is. It's been cool to see that women are responding to this and that there's like social media has been a flat line for me for a very long time, like showing up and just like bum, 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 bum. This is the first time I've ever seen spikes in my follower growth. And it's doing something that I feel so incredibly aligned with and so true to me. So now it's really just how do I keep showing up and sharing that content? So figuring that out behind the scenes, what that looks like.
I
And
love
just, yeah, keep growing, keep growing. That's what I want to do. Keep growing my community of women in person and virtually. That's my big goal.
That's terrific. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time, especially after a busy couple days, couple weeks, couple months, whatever it
I
might be, and just sharing your experiences for all women, whether it's the women our daughters' ages who are building their lives in the world, or women our age who are continuing to add structure to the world. I'm going to make sure that in the show details, there's all the information to connect with you on social media to learn more about your walks and see how those grow and very likely just start to spread as my guess. But to all of you who are listening, take what you heard today, carry what matters to you, and then pass the wisdom forward because when women speak, the world changes. Thanks for listening and see you next time on That's What She Said. Lizzie, thank you so much. This Follow That's What She Said on social media on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's What She Said is created, hosted, and executive produced by Dr. Robin Buckley. Our Senior VP of Productions and Content Strategy Consultant is Dr. Tom Grabowski. Jordan Gilbert is our show's Marketing and Creative Content Specialist. Senior Producer is Quentin Sukup. And remember to keep the conversation going. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, whether you're a woman who's lived it or a woman who's building it.